My background is fairly unique. I spent 19 years in military special forces. Now 16 years of those I spent as an undercover intelligence operator. So I would go into areas of interest, find out who the bad boys were, get alongside them and then recruit them to work as agents for me, feeding them back into the terrorist group until such time as we decided to retire that group. So I did that for 16 years, coming away with only one bullet wound, one broken bone and one knife scar. So it was actually quite interesting. That's actually good, by the way. That's a good record. During that time, of course, I saw what made people winners, and I saw what made people losers, and I saw the recipes that people would adopt to achieve either of those events. Now, when I got out and I decided to stop jumping out of airplanes and ruining everyone's day, I decided that there was going to be a way now to be able to move beyond and produce my story in such a way that it actually impacted people. And I came across this, which was from Carl Sagan, who as a boy I idolized because he seemed to know everything about the universe and everything about everything, really. And actually this is the guy back in the 70s that if the aliens had actually landed on the White House lawn and said, "Take us to your leader," this is the guy they take him to. You know? Unfortunately he's dead now. But I mean, what an amazing story in regards to what a book actually is. You know, it's a two-dimensional piece of paper taken from a tree that someone has put little black squiggles on. And yet, once you actually read it, you automatically start to delve into the mind of another person, into the life of another person. It becomes absolutely timeless. You know, your words become timeless, and then therefore you become timeless. And that's what, when I was sitting listening to Pamela, thinking of her story, but how sad would it be to have that wonderful, enriching story lost forever because someone didn't inspire her to actually put those scribbles down on that piece of paper. So I believe in encouraging everybody to actually create their own story. So this is me. I was an intelligence officer for all sorts of different things for 19 years. Once I actually got out of that, I started to look at all aspects of what made people great, what made people inspired, what were the recipes for success, what made people winners and what made people victims, and what made people winners and what made people victors. And that is really where I spend a lot of my time now, inspiring people to take that action. I worked on the theory that when I was spending one-on-one time with a person, I could change their life over the course of an hour or two. But then I found that by speaking to a group of people such as yourselves, I could inspire many more just by being able to express myself in a way that people found inspirational. But then when I started writing books, I found that that became exponential in regards to the growth. And my mission is to actually create as much irreversible, positive social change as I can in this lifetime. And that is what my books are about. They're not war stories, they're not anecdotes of things that have happened, although some of those are in the book. All of them are there to inspire people to take action in their life, to be able to enrich and show that this life was a life worth living. And that is really where I'm coming from today. Because I would like to show you how we do things. Now, I do a number of things now also in regards to helping people. I'm also the director of a charity called The Grey Man. And this is a group of special forces operators that have got together to rescue children from sex slavery in Asia. And I'm now a director of training and recruitment there. Once you're in special forces, it's different to being a soldier. Soldiers have a very masculine energy. It's all about overcoming and conquering. Whereas the warriors have actually a feminine energy, which is about their protection and service. And if anyone thinks that a warrior can't be a woman, you try and get in between them and their child. Then you find out all about being a warrior. So I'm very clear in actually utilizing this whole element of the warrior path to be able to show people, male and female, that they can actually achieve anything that they wish to be. It is merely just a choice away. So I produced this system, which we're actually going to be rolling out this year, showing people how they can access different parts of their brain in order to get flow. Now, once you get flow, you don't get writer's block. I've never had writer's block, because I do not look at writing as being a cerebral exercise. I actually look at as being a flowing exercise, tapping into various different conduits, I believe, that are inspiring for me. And we've called this, just like pimping your ride or pimping your life, the first P is for preparation. Your life is a preparation. Pamela had many, many years of preparation in preparing for her book. Everybody has a story. Can I just have a show of hands as well? How many published authors there are in the room? Cool. Excellent. How many people would like to be a published author? Now, you, madam, you put your hand up and then put it down very quickly. Why was that?
Well, I had a short story published in a book of 13 authors. And yes, I'm published, but I would like to be published individually as an author myself.
You should have kept your hand up. Yeah? Absolutely. See, everybody has value. Everybody has value in this life. And when you step into that decision of actually creating that choice to say, I wish to be of value to other people in life, everything starts to work. But you've got to prepare. You must prepare to actually make that happen. The second part is inspiration. At some stage you must have the inspiration for the book, for the content. And most of the time this is where a lot of people fall over, go there, who wants to listen to me? But everybody's life has massive value, everyone's stories. You have seen life differently to everybody else on the planet. There's never ever been a person quite like you. There never will. And once you're gone, that's it. And that to me was a frightening possibility. The fact that I could have gone through all of that blood, sweat, tears and nonsense, the joy, the unhappiness, the victories and the defeats, and I could have gone all the way through all of that and it would have meant nothing. That no one would have remembered what I did on this world. That didn't work for me. So the inspiration is there if you choose to see it. The next phase is, of course, you must have motivation. What does the word mean, motivation? Well, everything that has ation on the end of it in Greek words means to have the experience of. Okay, so when we actually have the experience of being able to be prepared, the experience of being able to be inspired. Well, of course, with the motive, the word motive means a reason. You have to have a reason for it, and therefore motivation or motive action is the experience of having a reason to do something. And that is what motivation is. It's not just getting kicked or coerced into doing something, it's about being inspired, living from an area of energy that you really wish to get your message out. And the last one is perspiration, because at the end of the day, nothing comes without some degree of effort. And all of you authors that are in the audience will know that there is a lot of blood, sweat and tears that actually happen in the process of a book. It's almost like giving birth. When I was listening to Pamela about her seeing her book for the first time, I felt that. The first time my box of books arrived on my doorstep, I cut it open and it was like someone had just, they may have just put a newborn baby in there, because I held it in my hands like it was something of the most precious nature. And I almost had a tear in my eye, because I knew that something, I knew what went into that. And in the same way as when you know what goes into a child, and when you actually hold that for the first time, something happens. There is a link, there is a connection between you and your inspiration. And that, I believe, is very, very important. So my books then, Who Dares for Success is the first one I wrote. Now, this came in a very weird way, and I'm just going to tell you how that was. Truthfully, it sometimes can be challenging for some people. I was woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I remember to this day, 4 years ago on New Year's Eve. And I was just woken up at 5 o'clock with a big booming voice in my head, saying, the book is here, if you wish to get up now, then off you go. However, should you wish to stay in bed, then you can. And I rubbed my eyes and I saw, standing at the foot of my bed, what I can only describe as an angel. And I thought, oh God, you've lost it. This is it now, Where's the white jacket and the van? And I couldn't see the head. It had wings and it had everything. It's actually on my book. It's actually become my logo now. And I just got up and went, you know what? I'm just going to go for this. I'm a very curious person. And when you get a 6-foot angel at the end of your bed saying, it might be time for you to get up, Simon, I can sleep any other time. I work on the theory there's plenty of time to sleep in the grave. I actually got up and sat at my computer 5.5 hours later without any break whatsoever. I had the whole book down on the computer. Every aspect of the book. And there are 70 concepts in that book, and every single one of them begin with the letter C. Now, that came into 7 areas of the Special Forces operation, which is selection and character, preparation, planning, skills, communication, execution, and results. And everything flowed into being. It was remarkable. I was given quotes, I was given stories, and I didn't want to give it up. And every time I opened up the computer from that time on, I wrote 1,100 words an hour, without fail, and usually without any form of re-editing. So, although it's my book, I understand that sometimes, you know, we tap into different areas. See, the science will tell you that there's not an area of your brain where information is stored that hasn't been taught to you. So, where does it come from? I mean, Beethoven is quoted as saying, all I have to do is write it down. He was stone deaf, and he wrote some of the most amazing music. All he had to do was write it down. He had to tap into something higher. Now, it doesn't matter where your theological viewpoint is on this. The fact of the matter is, it works. And when you are open to the possibilities that there is something greater than ourselves, at that stage, you open up the possibilities of everything coming to you, not what our own limited perspective of the world allows us to see. If we could only see and only write about what the government wanted us to see, feel, understand, where would we be? The fact of the matter is, all art, all music, all love comes from a sense and a beauty that is way beyond our human perception. And I know that sounds weird coming from a Special Forces operator, but that's how it is for me. And therefore I'm open to that. So that's Who Dares for Success. It took me 8 months to write that. That's from the opening angel being there to the point of actually getting the book sorted. Now, interestingly enough, just after that, I went to one of my friend's houses in England, and she actually had a statue of the angel, the exact angel that I saw, actually on the mantelpiece. And I went, what's that? And she said, oh, we've just come back from the Louvre, and that's a statue of that big angel at the bottom of the Louvre. Now, I've never been to the Louvre. And I said, well, what is the angel called? She said, that is Nike, the angel of victory. And I thought, how bizarre and how perfect is that? Because this is the angel that came down on the prow of the ship just before the Battle of Plataea, which allowed the Greeks to overcome the Assyrian Empire and basically allowed democracy to take place. And all of our whole life, if you like, was based around that one incident. So then the swoosh pattern you get on the Nike shoes is actually the angel's wing of Nike. So I am very, very privileged, I believe, to be associated with such a powerful entity, however it came. So that's Who Dares for Success, and that's available to me. My second book, actually, I wrote in a month. Not because I'm a great writer, is that because I understand what was necessary. This actually came in a very, very weird way. I was actually doing some motivational speaking, and I came out, and there was a number of different motivational speakers there. I only had my book, and some of them had like 15 books, but all about that thick. I could have written them probably in an afternoon. And they're going, yeah, you've got to get your books out, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And I thought, well, with all of the information that I already have, that I'd written with various different magazines all over the world, I could probably pull together a number of things. So I actually went onto the computer, dragged and dropped all of my articles onto one page, 50,000 words. Now that's a pretty reasonable book, as most of you will understand. And all I had to do was just go through and just do a re-edit and actually a refresh of some of the articles. And then I decided to write some of the stories down. I tell a lot of stories in regards to various different aspects of life and analogies and allegories. And I just literally just transcribed them down. And so that only took a month to write. It's only just been out a few months. We've really sold many copies of Courage Conquers All Things. But what a great cover, huh? Because one of my friends did that cover in the UK. He's looking into the eyes of the lion, and one of my next books actually is called Lion Hearts, where we actually explore the relationship between man and lions. Now my third book, this is the one that hasn't been published as yet. It's called The Order of the Nephilim. Now, the Nephilim were actually a race of beings mentioned in the Old Testament, where it says that the daughters of Abraham were seen as beautiful by the gods that looked down, and they took them for their wives, as many as they wished. And out of this union came a new race called the Nephilim, which were the gods of renown. And these were immortal beings. Some people call them the fallen angels, or the Grigori, the Watchers. And some while back, I actually woke up in the morning again, and with Debbie there, and Debbie, my partner, said, I've just had the most amazing dream. I just went through a 3.5-hour dream with Matt Damon. Yeah. And she's going, really? Is this something you wish to share? Yeah. And I said, and I told her the story, and I remembered every aspect of the story. And she said, that is the most amazing story I've ever heard. You've got to write it down. So the next 3.5 hours I spent actually writing down the story. Now what I found, and this story actually explains pretty much every conspiracy theory you've ever heard of in your life. It explains about the Knights Templars and the Freemasons, it explains about the Nazis, it explains the GFC and why different wars are fought and why different pieces are made. It explains what UFOs really are, it explains about the war that the Americans fought in Antarctica in 1947, which not many people know about, and really what is going on in the world. Now what was bizarre was that every time I started writing this, again I went through this area of flow. I'm accessing the superconscious. Now you know sometimes it's really nice when you're out and you think, wouldn't it be nice to get back home and read that book that I've been reading? Well, this was different for me because I wanted to get back home to write the book that I've been reading. And every time I got back and I closed my eyes, I could actually see the next part of the book. So even though I knew the general plot, I was being led upon this journey. And as soon as I closed my eyes, all I had to do was literally describe what I was seeing. And I was being led through this book. And as I then started doing the research after I'd written it, I found that everything that I was researching was correct in my book. So this is actually going to be quite a story. We've been over to Hollywood a couple of times now. Just so happened that my production manager over there happens to be Matt Damon's best friend. So that was cool. And everyone now is coming to me. They've got links to Spielberg, we've got links to Sony, we've got all of these type of things. So we're actually in the process now. I want to make this a collaborative effort. And therefore we're now looking at investors coming through so that we can actually move this book through. We've got some incredible people doing the preface and the introduction, and also the addendum to the book as well. And what this will do, I believe, this is a true game changer. When people read this book, they will be able to see what is going on in their world, and at that stage they'll be able to make choices as to what they really want to do. So it does look like it's going to be a very interesting concept. It's going to be, say, a major blockbuster film. The only thing we can even, I suppose, compare this to is the Da Vinci Code. And some of the editors that have read it have said this is the Da Vinci Code on steroids. So the Da Vinci Code did quite well, as you know, 780 million in the box office, 80 million books sold. So we're hoping to get the same degree of success. So it'll be nice that someone from the Gold Coast, you know, is actually, you know, could possibly, you know, have the audacity to be the next Dan Brown. So that's what I'm setting my focus for. You know, I never do small stuff. I always look at the bigger picture. But that in the way that this has been presented to me, I believe almost as a gift, I believe that there is something really strange that is going on, and I have to go through with that. And in doing so, I believe that we will create something that is going to be remarkable for time to come. That's not available today, unfortunately. But if you want to be involved in the project, and we want to get as many people involved in the project as possible, you know, because it's going to be a great after party, I assure you. You know, so we would like to involve as many people as possible. Now, all my books and what I do links into the Grey Man. Actually, a portion of the books goes to the charity Grey Man. Grey Man is the only way that we actually gain funds. All of our operators go to Asia under their own steam. We pay our own way, and on average it costs around about $2,000 to rescue a child. At the present time, this is actually one of the children that we rescued. There's 1.2 million children that are trafficked into the sex trade at the present time every year. They get trafficked either into the sex trade or into sweatshops or into body parts. So a girl like that would be $20,000 by the time they harvest her kidneys and her lungs and her heart and everything else. That to me is intolerable, and I will not tolerate it as an ex-Special Forces operator, as a man, as a human being. So I believe that I use now my talent and my skills to actually enhance the lives of others. We've rescued 145 children so far, which is a drop in the ocean, but for those children it means a lot. So for anyone that does buy a book today, you're actually helping our cause to do the Grey Men. And this is the type of stuff that we do. We place ourselves in harm's way, and we don't do soft rescue, we do hard rescue. So we actually go into the areas where these children are being trafficked. Most of the time they're being sold by their own parents, and we get them out and we give them a life. So that's essentially what we do. So I believe, and these are all the children that we rescued, by the way. These are the ones that would have ended up with a very different life had it not been for our tireless operators. So we're going to be doing a number of things over the course of this year. I'm actually producing a system because I know, because I can teach, and because I can inspire people to take action, I'm actually creating a new system called Might is Right. And that actually shows people how they can access this superconscious, how they can do what I do to actually get this flow. Because I believe everybody should have a book, because it is a testament of your life. It's a testament about the importance of who you are. And it's quite remarkable that every single one of you was in a race. Yeah, on your day of your conception, you were in a race of 200 million others. And you won. You won. You were the one that actually grabbed that egg. Now, why should someone as remarkable as you be not remembered in life? And I believe that as soon as you become an author, as soon as you, it doesn't matter whether you're a published author with a publisher or whether you're self-published, as soon as that book comes back and has been lodged in the National Library of Australia, you are immortal. Because by law, they have to keep that book in perpetua, for good. And that means that your words may be picked up, may be read thousands of years into the future. Isn't that worthwhile? If you really wish to leave your footprints in the sand, to allow other people to see that you lived, and you had a life that was worth living, and that all of the experiences that you went through in that life had meaning. And if you, with those words of meaning, just once, could inspire an individual to not make a mistake that they would have done otherwise, or to make a choice that would have been a good choice because you were already done the problems before, you already made the bad choices, and people could look at that and go, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to go in a different direction. You may just save a life by your life and your words and your inspiration. And that is what I really wish to achieve now, is that I've achieved my initial goal of wanting to write a book. Yeah? And as Angelica says, I've got a number of books that are going to be going out there. And I believe if I can actually help other people to get their message, their inspiration, their joy, their despair, all of their life to others, then I think that we'd have done something very, very powerful indeed. So, should you wish to contact me, this is my personal email. I'll be delighted to speak to anybody. It may take me some time to get back to you, but I will. We have our websites there, Starfire Australia, which is my corporate website, and we have the Who Dares for Success. I've actually got all the domain names for all of my books. But if you'd like to come up and have a chat, you'll find I'm a very approachable person. We have Michelle and Debbie there that are going to be helping us today, and Mark as well, one of my friends who's come up from Sydney. So if you want to know anything about the books today, we're actually doing a discount on the books. Normally they're $35. We're actually doing it today for $25. So if you'd like to purchase the books, I'm happy to sign them. And I'm sure that you'll get the same inspiration and joy from reading them as I did in writing them. So thank you, Angelica, for having the trust in me to present me to lovely people like yourself. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for allowing me to serve you. It's been my joy, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you. questions? Anyone got any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you use a social media?
Do I use a social media?
Facebook.
Yeah, is the,
Great deal.
yes, is the Pope Catholic and does Bears do 50 Shades of Grey? Yeah, so yes I do. I'm a great believer in social media, and actually part of the thing we do on the course is that we do all of that for you. Okay, so we actually have partners that will actually take your raw material, they'll edit it, they'll publish it, we'll get the covers done, but we market it for you as well. So you get the website. Social media is one of these things, and looking at the relative youthfulness of the crowd here, a lot of people probably don't use social media as well as they might. It's a very, very different beast. But I would not be anywhere near as successful without social media.
I realise that you're in every book, but which one holds your heart?
I think, actually, right, and this, yes, yeah, that was one of those questions where you think, oh, I've got to go for the first one, it's like my first child. Actually, it's the book that I'm writing in the moment.
I can't buy it today.
And you can buy part of me. No, I believe that the true essence of the joy is where you are right now. And it actually brings me back to asking one of my bosses in Special Forces. I said to him, similar to that in the bar, I said, what has been your best ever job? And he said, the one I'm doing now. He said, but if you'd have asked me 20 years ago, I'd have given you the same answer. You ask me 20 years hence, I'll give you the same answer as well. I think that providing you can actually keep that level of love and joy in the present, then it stops you from going back to the past. Because when you go back to the past and back to old victories or even old defeats, it keeps you there. And it doesn't allow you to move on and grow. Every day we grow with our experience and our understanding and our new distinctions. And I think if we can remain absolutely present, then our writing will actually reflect what is going on now. Not sweet dreams for the future, not what ifs from the past, but what is truly now. That's it.
Could I get your card with your email?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're all there. Absolutely. That's it.
Simon Dirk Vanderbilt, I'm like Angelique, I've been working on my book for 10 years.
Right.
In the last year, just editing. How do you get a book out at that speed? Because I suppose everybody's interested to know the answer to that.
Well, it's a trusting process. I say I think that if you look at it as a cerebral job, if you like, then you are going to get blockages, because the way that the brain works, the brain is incredibly limited. The brain, everything that you see, everything you do, touch, taste and feel, brings in 2,000 bytes of information a second, which is a lot. It basically means that with everything you see in life, you would fill up the largest hard drive known to man in 3.5 minutes. Now, if you actually go into your subconscious, it actually has several million bytes of information per second. So that when you trust that, it goes easier. How many times have you thought of something, and you go, no, I better do some research, and you find out what you thought of initially was correct. It's because actually there is more evidence to your intuition than there is to your brain. And therefore I find most writers, unfortunately, they get in the way of themselves because they look at it from a purely cerebral job perspective, and they look at it in a linear form. This is how we're taught to write, it's linear. I don't do that. I just dump everything down with the trust that it's actually going to flow into the way that it's meant to be, rather than trying to compartmentalize it. Because if you make it a brain function, it becomes limited. If you make it a soul function, it becomes limitless.
What about the editing?
The editing, well, that to me is someone else's stuff. Yeah, I believe there is a big difference between an author and an editor, because you should never edit your own stuff. By all means, go through it and tidy it up, but never edit it, because it means that you are being critical over your heart. Because that's what an editor does. He's being critical for good, for your best interest. But I would never ever even dream of editing my own stuff. I get someone else to look at it from another perspective, and I tell them how I need it to be edited. I say, look, I need this to be grammatically edited. I need this to actually be a developmental editor. I choose the person who I believe would have the most heart and understanding as to what my greater mission is in the book. You got to. I believe that you must see the end product. You must see who is going to read this book, and if you had that, if you could actually ask yourself, this is going to be probably the easiest thing for you. If you ask yourself, if I got a person who's just finished my book, and as they're walking out of the bookshop, if they were able to read that book all the way through, and they walked out, and I grabbed them in that moment, and I said, who are you? Why did you buy the book? And what did you most get out of it? And what would you say to someone else? If you can answer those questions, you've got your book. You've got your market, you've got the reason, you've got the motivation, and you will not sleep until that book is done. And you wouldn't have 10 years. Yeah? It would be really interesting to see if you could go into that flow and that true love of that book. If you've got something that's genuinely that you want to desire to get out to people, it shouldn't take 10 years. You know, your love should be out there and making it happen right now. Yes, sir?
Did you mention a publication date for this new one?
I mean, we can be ready to go probably within a month. Literally, what we've done is that we've had all the nods from Hollywood, and they say, look, you know what? We get something like 3,000 a week come through here, because even our janitors have ideas for movies. Don't come to us with ideas, we're really not interested. You come to me with a published book, you come to me with a screenplay, we're working on it in the afternoon. And that's how it works. So we're actually going to do that, and once it's ready, we've got a platform. We've got one of our contributors to the book has a platform of 2 million opt-in email addresses. So we're going to market it through there. So if you can imagine marketing a conspiracy book to 2 million conspiracy buffs, you can imagine what the actual success rate of that is. So we're going to do that for the first month, hit Hollywood with 100,000 sales initially, and then say, this is it, we've got Matt Damon ready to go. Come play with us, boys. So that's my plan anyway. Listen.
Where do you send your book and your screenplay to?
Well, it's who you know. You can spend a lot of time and actually a lot of postage just sending your manuscripts to people. I've seen some of the offices of these people, and it's not even getting looked at. You know, they just go, that pile's been there for 3 months, send it back. No one's looked at it. You know, so at the end of the day, I believe that if you've got that labour of love, you are not going to just put it in the post and see what happens, or just put it into 100 post boxes and see what happens. I believe that you would then make a relationship with people that would actually engage with you and align with you and share your purpose, share your passion, because we are only 6 points of separation away from everybody. And someone in your area will know someone, and providing you keep that power and passion going, you're going to hit the right person at the right time in the right moment. And that's what flow is.
Hello, I'm writing an autobiography. I think it's about 900 pages, but I can't find the name for the book.
Okay.
Can't find the name.
All right. Can't find the name. All right. So, well, something could be. If it's an autobiography, obviously, it's essentially, you know, personal thing. Yeah. Now, what would you say was the greatest thing that you either achieved, or the greatest thing that you wished to achieve when you were actually writing in your life?
Well, I want to achieve happiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And have a long life and happy with my husband. Love life. And successful in life.
So when you were actually around about 11, so when you started to go into those formative years, what did you really want for yourself at that point?
I want to go to America and be successful.
Okay, and
But
did you?
now I'm successful in the growth of in the property business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you?
My life has changed from the kind of dream of a different dream.
You got it. I think you should keep it quite simple. I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, wasn't that the Dalai Lama's book? Something like Pursuit of Happiness or something? You know, it was actually, yeah, The Art of Happiness. You know, so that was been taken, unfortunately. But something like that, just something that just, yeah, because the thing is that unless people know you, having your name on the autobiography doesn't mean anything, you know. But once they read it, then they will know you, and then it's going to be a lot easier from there. So therefore, you need to have something that inspires the imagination to pick it up.
This is what people have been telling me, that I'm not a celebrity, so nobody will read my book, nobody knows me. But if my story is powerful and it relates to the whole world, everything,
What would I get by reading your book? No, what would I get from reading your book? If I read your book now, what would I get personally from that?
The experience of my life and
No, I'm not talking about the data. What would I get? What would I be able to take in my heart and go, wow, that was incredible?
inspire.
Yeah.
Inspire you.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
Well, kind of, this is my life, this incredible journey of my life.
But what am I going to get as your life? What am I going to get?
Kind of,
You see where I'm going with this? People won't care about your life. They'll care what they get from your book. And if you can have on your book cover what they're going to get, you know, or something that just is a hit like Richard Branson's "Screw It, Let's Do It," you can pick it up. You know, it's just like quite remarkable, you know, because it just reads out, it just does what it says on the box. You've got to work out what it does, what it says on the box, because otherwise, all you've got is a diary. Yeah, that's my own personal opinion. So yeah, you need something that's catchy.
You see, I was thinking that writing this book is not about for other people to get from my thing. I just want, like you said, I want to be eternally my life to be known all the time.
Then you must give value to others. Yeah, that's it. That's actually the end of the story. If you give value to others, they'll remember you forever. If you fail to give value for others, they'll let you go. Then we've probably got one more question. Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask, do you have some sort of spiritual practice system that gets you more in that flow that you're talking about when you write, or do you feel like it's...
Yeah, and I think it's called trust, and I think and openness, and alignment. Okay, so if you've got all of those things, if you trust the process that when something or some entity or some aspect of you, whatever, is going to talk to you, you're going to take action on it, then of course they're going to keep that channel going. Yeah, that's as simple as that. If you are in alignment, if you're congruent, if you're living your life in the same way as you're living your message, then that opens the channel much easier as well. And just being open to the possibilities. Don't put a judgment on it. You know, so the more open you can be, the more area of flow you get. It's almost like opening the valves, and therefore more will come through. It's actually a really beautiful process. And you don't have to just go and sit in a cave for 40 years to get it. You know, you can actually do life. You know, I believe that we're not human beings, you know, having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And therefore, you know, the more you can actually be in alignment with that, the more open and the more successful you're going to be in every area of your life. Cool. Is that working? All right.
Very interesting talk. I mean, I could listen to Simon quite long. We met over coffee and we allowed an hour and we went for 2, I think, something like that. And then we thought, oh, well, we could go longer, but we'd better finish off here. I have seen the first 3 chapters of The Nephilim, and I am absolutely... I was waiting for the next bit and then finished. So I felt very honoured Simon sent that through to me. So I'm waiting with bated breath, and I hope to be part of that as well. I hope to be part of that.
If everyone just wants to put their, speak to Debbie or Michelle and just give us their email address or phone number, whatever, mostly email is the best way to communicate to you. We'll let you know about all of these things as well. So if you want to keep in contact with us, please do.
And now Simon's going to draw the raffle for us, so please pull out your raffle tickets.